You're muted. Well, I am.
Yeah.
Make it with Stephanie.
You finally took. Well, yeah, you're getting quicker on the draw and turning on your mic.
I am a little bit.
Let's see what we got. Get down. Oh, this is a
Get
square
down
one.
on the nitty-gritty.
There's a square one.
Oh, you know what? You picked this one, and it never works out well. But we're gonna go with it anyways. It's too faded to remember. Oh, thank you. They can watch me type to remember what it's called. But you know what? It's a good fall color. It's called Lucky, which my day has not been. You want to hear about my day?
Well, I have.
I know. A flat tire. Can't get my mail from the post service. But you know what? It's all meant to happen for a reason.
There you go.
And I am trying to rewire my mind to think more positive. So eventually one day I shall get my mail. And hopefully after the show we get my tire fixed.
There you go.
But it's just one of those. And I think a lot of people are having the same problem too, where it's just constantly, always something going wrong. Right?
Yes.
I mean, but it's been the story of your life. Probably most people's lives. But it's all perspective and how you see it.
There you go. Now
Right?
you're getting in the ball
I'm
game.
trying, and then I was so positive yesterday. I was great with the kids, like understanding all of it. We had a great time. Wasn't negative about anything. Teaching them, let's be positive and just And then today happened.
Of that.
But you know what? It's all a mental. And I think just being locked inside and everything being haywire. I think a lot of people are having that problem. National days. I'm gonna go with one today because. Crap. Do I have to go with one?
Hurry up.
Okay, I'm sorry. National Get Funky Day.
Well, that's a good one. I would end with that. That's good.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I'm gonna stick with one. If my intro would like me. All right, you ready? We're
Ready.
going on Facebook.
Ready. That funky slide guitar music comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5 on Newswire, both on Facebook and
on YouTube. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and subscribe to our wonderful and amazing channel where you can see Roy's smiling bright face every day and watch his hair get darker as it's already starting to change with the season.
there you go. I told you it would.
I love it.
Do you doubt it? If I said the moon
Mine
was
changes
made
with
of
my stress levels.
if
so
I
much.
said the moon was made of cheese, would you believe it?
Probably. You know who you're talking to.
Of that, oh man, we've had one heck of a weekend. As we did, we had Dr. Kelly Victory on. We'll have her on in a bit. Trump was admitted with COVID. He's already out of the hospital. By the time he was admitted, he's already out of the hospital. Of that, looking good, giving the thumbs up. Took a little joyride yesterday on that. Governor Hairgel, if you really, I think it's November 17th is the drop dead date on, or they got to turn in the signatures on recalling this governor. If what he did today,
Are they close?
I think they got a third.
How
of
do
them.
they know what their numbers is?
That's
Are
all. Well, it's all
at.
nuts and bolts things. Yeah, the Secretary of State tells you that. But if what he said today doesn't convince you that this guy has got his knee on your neck, nothing will. We have that. The critical race theory crock is just being blown to bits, and Joe Biden. And then again, anybody that votes for Joe Biden. I don't know. I don't know how you can justify voting for a man who is either lying or delusional or both. But I wanted to get into this little fun story right off the get-go. This is on ABC7. They took a little bit of a somebody. They're blaming it on some construction workers possibly, but somebody took down a flag at the Long Beach.
Don't tell them what it is.
At the a flag at the Long Beach Police Department, and they put up another flag. So here is the short Channel 7
Trump seen
report.
flying outside the Long Beach Police Department headquarters this weekend. Long Beach police say the flag was not authorized to be put up and are now trying to figure out who did it. The flag caused some outrage on social media. Long Beach police tweeting out this grainy video saying it shows someone crossing the street and entering their lot, which is under construction, to change the flag. They say there is no indication the person is an employee of the Long Beach Police Department, and they're still reviewing evidence to find.
Let's see if they've got the. I wanted to see if they got the. And it's got to restart the commercial. But I want to get to the point where they had a real good shot there at the first of the flag, and I thought and I think we missed it. So I want to give you a good point of that going forward, because there it is. So yeah, there you see. That's a good shot. They put a Trump "Make America Great Again" up that was up a few minutes, and the police department are investigating. I wonder if the police department is going to do a real big investigation on this, or they're just kind of
Okay,
let this
so
slide.
I mean, I get it. Let's investigate it. But how much money does it cost to have someone investigate a flag switch?
Yes.
And I mean, I could see where it would offend some people, and they want to make sure, it gets
Get
taken.
over it.
I'm just saying, I get it.
It was a good prank.
We're sympathizing and being positive. I mean, take it down and whatever.
Yeah,
But,
it was a
do we
good-
need to waste some money on investigation?
I mean, it's pretty good. The guy got away with it at the police station, changing their flag. I think it's kind of
That's
funny.
another thing. How did he get away with it at a police
Yes.
station? That is a little scary. That
Yeah, he or she, let's say, put it that way, whoever did this, they're saying is possibly because some construction, they're doing some construction around there. But doing it on a Sunday, I think is when it was, or Saturday or Sunday. I mean, they could be working on that, part of it, but they did say there was some construction workers, and they're kind of thinking that's where it was, because
it was like a decoy.
Of that. But who knows? I thought that was kind of funny.
That's cute.
Yes, I mean, it takes a lot of guts to go in there and
It does.
pull the
And
police
I mean,
department flags
But
down
you know
and
what?
change them.
You don't see. I want to find a story where someone's doing that for Joe Biden. Does anyone do that for him?
No, because nobody cares about Joe Biden.
I'm going to make that a personal mission to see if I can find something. Or if anybody out there that might like
No,
Joe Biden.
where
or
is Joe Biden?
I want to see if
Th-
someone's
this has
rah-rahing
gotta
for
be-
him. Because I think that's a beautiful thing that they're promoting and trying so hard to show the love of the president or who they want to run or be president.
You would think.
I want to find some on him.
You would think that you would think that the part of the deal there that he was on and looked at it was where you're looking at it. And there, I just want to show this one on flip up 4. There's yesterday. Caused a big stink, or, the dominant media and sorts were trying to make a big stink. Trump wheels out
Oh, they did.
of Walter Reed Medical Center yesterday, gets in the SUV, and tools around some supporters were out in front of Walter Reed Hospital with the same, you can see the same Trump flag, looks like, are pretty close, of that, wishing the president well, yada, 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 hope you get home soon. So he makes a tour around, gives them a wave, yada, 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 and they're, oh, you're going to kill the Secret Service agents, and yada, yada. I mean, give it up. That's like totally ridiculous of a thing to think about, or even to come up with. Secret Service agents are probably some of your healthiest, robust people, and even if they did get coronavirus, they would have nothing. The odds.
But let's think of it this way: how many of those secret agents have already been around him
Yes.
this entire time? Who's to say? And I get it. I get where people would complain, and it's like, oh my gosh. But if you really think about it, who's to say that they haven't already had it or been around, or maybe they're even sick with him? I mean, you don't know that. But to make this whole huge, people were getting nasty. They were pissed.
Yeah, and as Pop called me earlier this afternoon and said, again, as we made the point a lot of times, the dominant media wasn't protesting or having anything to say about all these people that were face to face, or the deal when Joe Biden was at the town hall meeting, in which one, I don't know, was it Wolf Blitzer or whatever, CNN, they go right nose to nose to each other. With no masks on or nothing, while they thought that, during the commercial break or something, while they're trying to be all this. So there was no big stink about that in the dominant media.
On what?
Where's the mask are. He was at a town hall meeting.
Who was?
Joe Biden.
Oh, okay.
And Wolf Blitzer, CNN, or whoever's moderating it or whatever, walks up during the commercial break, walks up to Joe Biden and he whispers in his ear or something, yada, whatever they were communicating, with no masks on or nothing. They weren't crowing about, he's going to,
Well, of course not.
they're going to kill somebody, no mask, yada, 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 da, 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 da.
People seem to only be complaining about the things that everybody else is complaining about that they know they can kind of get away with and like join that little bandwagon. I think maybe people are just lonely.
No, I think people, the study in human behavior on that, but that's a perfect segue into what went on. Joe Biden at the debate, Chris Wallace asked about the critical race theory. And that's the whole thing of this. And you know what? Chris Rufo is going to write in here, and he's going to prove exactly what I've been saying, and something that you get on my case for saying a lot.
Who, me?
Yes.
I do? When?
Once in a while. Well, you'll see when I mention it.
Oh, crap.
But
Because I didn't read it. I know you sent it in earlier, but
there's this whole industry that's cropped up around making you hate yourself. And calling everyone, just because your skin tone is a little less brown than everybody, you're a racist, you're an evil person, you're basically built to be crapped on. Every ill of the world is based on you. And really the subset that I've talked about, and it's been emphasized in all this critical race theory of that, because Chris Rufo is the one that briefed the president on that. And remember at the debate, we played the clip. And Chris Wallace said, this is racial sensitivity training. No, this is racist training. This is teaching you how to hate yourself, and it's teaching you how to destroy yourself so they can control you. They make you feel like crap, that you're worthless, worth less than dirt, and so they can control you and make you do anything else. And you know what? I said this stuff has been in the schools for decades, and it's going to come out here and now and how long they've been doing it. Schools, government agencies, they've been hijacking businesses over this. They've been kowtowing to it and all this stuff. This is in the Wall Street Journal. It's a truth about the critical race theory. Trump is right. Training sessions for government are amounted to political indoctrination by Chris Rufo. And remember, Joe Biden said this didn't exist at the debate. After Chris Wallace set him up with a false narrative to where he was going, then he said it didn't exist, which disqualifies him. I want to see how that qualifies him for president, because he knows this. He's been pushing it, and he's been behind Black Lives Matters. He's been behind it. He knows damn well what's going on, and to say that it doesn't exist, even when Chris Wallace told him, the guy is either delusional, lying, or worse on the deal. I don't know how anybody can vote for Joe Biden. Here we go with the article. Moderator Chris Wallace asked President Trump during the week's debate why he directed federal agencies to end racial sensitivity training. No, it's not. That addresses white privilege or critical race theory, Mr. Trump added. I ended it because it's racist. And he is exactly right. Participants were asked to do things that were absolutely insane, he explained. They were teaching people to hate our country. Nobody's doing that. Joe Biden replied, he's wrong. So right there you have the quotes. Joe Biden said he was wrong. Well, the only thing was Chris Wallace was wrong about saying it's racial sensitivity training. It's about you trying, the most part, and Trump said about hating our country, and it's about, as they're going to write in there, it's going to be about you hating yourself. Back to the article. My reporting on critical race theory in the federal government was the impetus for the president's executive order. So I can say with confidence that these training sessions had nothing to do with developing racial sensitivity, as I documented in detail reports for the City Journal and New York Post, which we've covered. Critical race theory training sessions in public agencies have pushed deeply ideological agenda that includes reducing people to racial essence, segregating them, judging them by their group identity rather than individual character, behavior, and merit. Now tell me what.
My buttons.
You've seen this. This has been in our schools. It's in our schools. It's in our government agencies. They've been pushing this crap for years. And what are you, I mean, it's finally, the good thing about this is it's finally getting exposed to the point that you cannot deny it. Further reading from the article. These examples are instructive as the series of events at the Treasury Department and federal agencies. Diversity trainer Howard Ross taught employees that America was built on the backs of people who were enslaved, that all white Americans are complicit in a system of white supremacy by automatic responses to the way we're taught. In the accompanying documents, Mr. Ross argues that whites share an inborn oppressive whiteness employees are told includes white privilege and white supremacy. He's saying we are inborn with it.
We're born being racist.
Yes.
I mean, I think some people are. Not really born with it. You're grown and raised into it. I think racism is
He
taught.
said
It's
you're
not.
inborn to it.
What does that mean?
That means you came out of your mama's
Right,
womb
you're born with
and
it.
you were a racist.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
How can you be a racist when you don't even you can't even take care of yourself? You have no mental capacity of that at that point of when you are born, per se, to do anything. It's in your DNA. Come on, this is the stupidest thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, racism is taught. You're not born with it. You're
He
taught
says
it.
you
I
are
know, I'm just
inborn with
saying.
it.
Why are you arguing? I'm not arguing with. We're on the same side.
There you go. Here, let's
Stop
read
yelling
from the.
at me.
I'm not yelling.
Stop touching my buttons.
Consequently, whites struggle to their own racism. He instructs managers to conduct listening sessions in which black employees can speak about their experience and be seen in their pain, while white employees are instructed to sit in discomfort and not fill the silence with your own thoughts or feelings. You can't have a thought or feeling. Members of the group you're aligning with, Mr. Ross says, are not obligated to like you, thank you, feel sorry for you, or forgive you. For training like this, Mr. Ross and his firm have been paid $5 million over 15 years, according to federal disclosures.
Stop
There
touching
you
my
go.
buttons.
$5 million for 15 years. Now, I want anybody at your school districts, at your companies, at your city employees, county, state that's been pushing this, I want you to deny that this has been going along for decades like I've been bringing it up. And I've been called a racist. I've been called a homophobe. I've been called exactly what this is. And I don't, you know what? All of you that did it, you ain't got guts enough to apologize, even just give an apology for it. No, you're out there pushing this crap.
Well, I'm sorry they said that because that's furthest from the truth.
Here we go.
Stop pushing my damn buttons, though.
At Sandia Laboratories, which develops technology for America's nuclear arsenal, executives held a racially segregated training session for white male employees for a 3-day event, which led by a company called White Men as Diversity Full Partners, setting the goal of examining white male culture and making the employees take responsibility for their.
Stop it.
So what have I said? And I've said it. And I've probably had the only person that's got guts enough to say it. There's been a war on for the straight white male. The next sentence I'm going to read is going to prove this. From the full diversity partners and all this crap that's going on. In one of the opening exercises, the instructors wrote on a whiteboard that white male culture can be associated with white supremacists, KKK, Aryan Nation, MAGA hat, and mass killings. Flip the deal. There you go.
Wow, you didn't do it.
Everybody of the white male culture. What have I told you? There's been a war on against a straight white male. We've been blamed for everything. If you're a Trump supporter, you're part of the Aryan Nation, KKK, and mass killings, and every other thing that went wrong.
Okay, now really quick though, where is this article at so others can go and read it?
This is in the Wall Street Journal in a post. It was posted today by Chris Rufo, who was the one who briefed Trump on the critical race theory and made him pull all the federal funding for this crap. So, Continuing with the article, on the final day, the trainers asked employees to write letters to women and people of color. One participator apologized for his privilege. Another pledged to be a better ally. At the Department of Homeland Security, diversity trainers held a session of microaggressors based on work psychologist Darrell Sue, who in his academic work, Sue argues that fed a race curriculum based on falsehood, unwarranted fears, and belief in their own superiority, thus have been socialized into oppressor roles. Again, if that isn't 100% proof that there is a war on for the straight white male, I don't know what is. This is going on at Homeland Security, in our nuclear facilities, in our schools, in our governments. They've been hijacking and holding big business at bribes for this crap for far too long. And you know what? They're starting to get exposed. And maybe we had to go through this COVID crap and all this crap we're going in 2020 to get to this stuff of what's really been going on.
Charlie writes in, it's an email, but I listed in there. You can also go to the Wall Street Journal. We put it in the email so that way we can pull it up and you guys can read it better. He also writes in that Jane Elliott says that you're not born racist, you learn racism. I don't think that's what it said in there, but you can go ahead and pull it up yourself.
It doesn't say that in this article. She may have said that. And yeah, you could be taught, you can be taught anything. You could grow up in an environment of whatever.
Charlie also writes in that Jane Elliott is a professor of racism, but Charlie also had a different name last week and called me stupid, so I don't know how.
Yeah, you can, and we don't doubt. There are a few nutcases out there that believe in, whatever. And one race is superior to the other. And it goes across all of the races, so-called ethnic lines and everything else. It is not exclusive to any one classification that they've made. That is BS. The acronym, or not the acronym, but the explanation, the definition that you can only be a racist if you're white, like that ding-a-ling Amber Rochelle said on this show and all that, when she doesn't even know what the meaning of systemic was, of that, is absolutely BS. And would not decry or call the Hebrew Brotherhood, who castigated one kid at the Washington Monument and castigate them as racist, proves that you don't know what you're talking about. I will say that. That's my opinion of it. I would defy anybody, and Amber Rochelle can come in here and sit back in the seat and defend her, and anybody else that wants to defend that can come in here and do it. Let's get it on, because we're about exposing this stuff as of now. Let's finish up on, let's see if I can find my, there. Trainers taught Homeland Security employees that the myth of mediocrity and colorblindness is the foundation of racist microaggressions and micro inequities. The trainers insisted that these statements, such as, America is the land of opportunity. Everybody can succeed in this society if they work hard enough, and I believe the most qualified person should get the job, are racist and harmful, merely code for color, are lazy and are incompetent and need to work harder. If white employee disagrees, his point of view is dismissed as a denial of individual racism, another type of microaggression. As Chris Rufo writes, any fair-minded observer, these are not racial sensitivity trainings, as Mr. Wallace described them in the debate. They are political indoctrination sessions. While this misrepresentation is a disappointment, it isn't a surprise. Progressive activists and their media enablers routinely manipulate words to conceal the truth. Violent riots have become peaceful protests, and defund the police has become reimagine public safety. What does Hairgel say all the time? Reimagining California, and this is what he's going to do. If Trump and the Republicans want to win the election, they must quickly break through the blockade of euphemisms and educate American voters about the facts.
I don't know.
It is, and that's what I've been saying. Hairgel, look at that. Reimagine California. That's what they're reimagining. When they come up with all this crap at the schools of, we're just
but I think it's being, I just go back to, it's always being taught. Now bringing it in the schools, now you're teaching my children about racism where they didn't really know what that was.
They're teaching them to hate themselves.
Or each other. I think they're teaching them more to hate each other.
Hate each other,
then
hate
they're-
yourself.
See, he doesn't even let me talk.
Go ahead.
I don't even remember what I was going to say.
No, you're inborn with it.
complaining.
They're saying you're inborn with it.
Yeah, that's not. Definitely not.
And so they're teaching you to hate your. They're teaching you that you're the evil, and you can. The only way you can. Remember when we had the deals of the tapes up there in Seattle and Oregon, where they had the white people standing up at the black, and they had them all standing up in the line and saying, "Oh, we can't cross the line coming in here," and publicly shaming them and making them admit that they did all this crap. You don't think this is going on? It's been going on for decades. There's proof of it. $5 million over 15 years just to one company pushing this crap with your tax dollars paying for it. This is what you've been paying for in the government. This is what you've been paying for under Bush, Clinton, Bush, and Obama. I've said 98.7% of everything they did, those 4 presidencies, was monolithic. And I challenge anybody to come in here and debate me on that. Everyone on both sides of this deal, Democrat, Republican, right or left, that's been supporting any of them, you are to blame. And this is what they've been doing. And Trump's been in here trying to fix this crap, and half of you have been out there protesting the guy that's actually trying to make a difference. I got an applause. Damn.
Yeah. I'm too scared to say anything else. I can't follow that. How do you follow that? Really can't.
That's what I want to hear the defenders of this. The whole thing. The dominant media, and then the left twisting words of that to make you think you're getting something. What they're doing, you know what's coming next. They're bending you over the table, and you know what's coming next.
Charlie writes in, he's on the opposite, which, hey, that's cool. We love your comments. There's proof that Trump is racist, and I'm paying for him. I don't know what that means.
Trump is getting rid of the racism, and I want to know if you supported any of it. Have you supported Obama? Have you supported Biden? Have you supported Bush? Have you supported Clinton? Because they've been all paying for this. And this stuff is racist. And Joe Biden's a racist, says it didn't even exist when he was the one that voted to fund this crap, when he was a U.S. Senator and Vice President. So let's cut through the crap. Charlie, is that his name?
Yeah, but he changed it. I don't know. I think last week his name was Carlos.
Well, whatever his name is. Challenge that. That is the facts, Charlie, or whatever your name is. That is the facts. And Trump has got, once he knew it, and he got briefed on it, he said this is gone. And Joe Biden denied it exists. What kind of evil is that? I don't understand why more people aren't just, if you want to riot in the streets about something, you should be rioting in the streets about that. You should be down at your school districts. You should be down at any of your government agencies that's been pushing this crap.
We like to hear the opposite side, though. I think it's good.
I want to see that.
Yeah,
I want
calm
to
the hell
hear
down a little bit.
I want to hear
You need to calm down a little bit, though. Hi, Sean.
Hey guys, hi Stephanie.
Happy it's part of my show. Only reason why I'm here. For that 2 seconds.
Oh man,
Of that.
Poor you.
It's again, anybody you're supporting. If you're supporting Joe Biden, you're supporting this. You're supporting racism. You're supporting hate. You're supporting the destruction of the United States of America. You're supporting the destruction of each individual person that lives here. There is no question about it.
Charlie writes in, sorry, but Trump said that an American judge can't do his job because of his Mexican heritage, and that is racist to say. Did he say that?
I don't
1
know.
minute.
We'll
1
give
minute.
us the context of that. Send me a link to what it is, Charlie, or
I don't know.
whatever it is.
If you think Biden is a racist, then
Wait.
you need to hold Trump to the same
Go to
standard.
Newswire. And
I
look
believe
at the,
that Mexican
racist
judge
stuff
had
Joe
actually
Biden-
affiliates with some of the gang people also. I forget the name of the gang organization, the Mexican, I forget the name of it, but I think he had affiliates with those people.
Oh, well, yeah, that's why I say let's
Like-
get the context of it.
30
We
seconds,
po-
yeah.
Right. We post facts and where it is and the links to it. These guys come in here and
Exactly.
just say all kinds of crap and never back it up.
Exactly. They say one part, but they don't get the
Yes.
whole story.
Show me the link of what you're talking about, Charlie,
And we will talk about
and
it.
then we will discuss the entire
1490am.com and download your free phone app today.
Politics season, man. Don't touch my mouth.
Newswire is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 KMET on a
Magnificent Monday!
I don't. Well, that's enough. Yes, it is magnificent. President Trump walked out of Walter Reed Medical Center today, fully recovered, or not fully recovered, but was released from the hospital after spending a couple of days in the hospital over COVID-19 across the board, and that was a good thing. Walked into the helicopter, gave the thumbs up, and gave the thumbs up as he walked into the White House. Doesn't seem to be suffering any ill effects, or that, as his doctor said, as they released him today from Walter Reed Medical Center. And if anybody has the best team of doctors and medical personnel, and those guys are, along with being obviously working at Walter Reed, I mean, I'm assuming they're all military personnel too. On top of that, they're not going to, one, violate their Hippocratic oath of doing that, and two, they're not going to put the president in any danger or anyone else across the board. So all of this whole stuff that's going on that. And just to finish up on our statement of that, you want to talk about Trump, Charlie? Go to IE Newswire. This is posted. The real racist is a Democrat. And look at all the statements your boy, if he is, and say if you're supporting Biden or not, said over the years about that. You want to pull up just neat little quotes? Well, we can do them. And for every one you can get, we can probably pull up 10. So you want to play that game, we can play that just as well as you. So, on top of that, we're going to have Kelly Victory on in a minute. We're going to talk about all the Trump stuff, and you probably will believe what Governor Hairgel said about this and that, and you won't believe the statistics in
Terry
California.
writes in, I have a good one. Someone said that he gets, oh no, that's the wrong one. No clue Biden is in fact a racist, but that man can keep his hands on ladies of all ages. Creepy bastard.
There's no doubt
Thanks,
about
Terry,
that.
for writing in.
There you go. I mean, the creep factor on Joe Biden is like is off the charts. I mean, some of the stuff that he has said and done over the years is beyond, let's say beyond, maybe even beyond creepy on that. So we're going to, again, for the whole, we're going to get into that with Dr. Kelly Victory. She's been our foremost expert on all things COVID since this whole thing broke in March of this year on that. It's been a whirlwind deal. We had her on Friday when Trump was admitted to the hospital, and we're having her on right after Trump gets out of the hospital, giving the thumbs up, riding in the helicopter, even taking a little joyride yesterday on that. So to fill us in with an expert opinion on this, on IE Newswire, Stephen Roy, Dr. Kelly Victory, welcome to the show.
Hey, great to be back. It's been a sort of a whirlwind last few days, hasn't it?
Yes, it has.
Friday, we had the breaking news that the president had tested positive and actually had symptoms. And here we are now, a little more than 72 hours later, and he's back at home in the White House to complete his convalescence there. So quite a turnaround.
One thing, and it's been, before we get into some of the political details, I just have one question, more as a medical deal. They've said the incubation period is like 10, now they're down to 10 days, but it was 14 days. But it's going to be 10 days from today when the next debate is, barring any turn of events or in the condition of the president, other than he looks like he's recovering. Do you see any reason at this point why he cannot participate in the October 15th debate?
I see no reason from a medical perspective, assuming he's feeling well and doesn't take some unexpected turn. Yes, we have been saying 10 days from the date of positive test that you could still be contagious. But there's a caveat with the case of President Trump because of the drugs with which he was treated, meaning specifically he got a course of or an infusion of monoclonal antibodies, as well as he's getting a 5-day course of remdesivir. Both of those agents, being antiviral, would significantly decrease his viral load. So his chance of being contagious, even now, even 3 days out, very unlikely that he is still contagious because of the impact of those two antiviral drugs.
So, and again, you're touching on some of the stuff, the actual nuts and bolts of this thing. We went over Friday, he has a couple of, he's over 70, overweight, a couple of the risk factors. But from all indications, his doctors today, when they made the press conference of the release, which is on IE Newswire, said he's doing great. There's no reason to keep him in. And Dr. Steve Conley, the physician to the president, made one statement that I thought was very telling. He said, every patient in the hospital is at risk. And meaning that, or what I took of that is, there are reasons that you are in the hospital, but then you're more susceptible in a hospital setting of getting a staph infection or making it worse because you're in a place of sick people. What's your thought?
You better believe it. Obviously, I've spent the better part of my career in hospitals, but it's the last place you want to be as a patient. Unfortunately, there are what we call nosocomial infections, and those are infections that you pick up because you are in the hospital. And unfortunately, they tend to be some of the worst infections, Roy, because so many of those patients are on antibiotics for various and sundry things. So if you're going to pick up a bad bug, it's going to be in the hospital, and they tend to be drug-resistant bugs and bugs that are tough to treat. So without any question, if you can get the patient home to convalesce at home, that's by far the preferred thing to do, in addition to the fact that people just tend to be more comfortable. People tend to sleep better, rest better, and feel more relaxed when they're in their own surroundings. So unless there's something specific, an intervention that they need to do, or they're concerned about the idea that the patient may take a turn for the worse and need some really aggressive interventions, then by all means, I think it's the right thing to do to send them home.
This is why we have Dr. Kelly Victory on, trauma surgeon, disaster preparedness expert on that. And this is exactly why. For all of you that are commenting in comments and crowing all across the dominant media and this and that, oh, how could they release him on this and da-da-da-da-da. Well, that's probably, if not the best, one of the best medical teams that's attending to President Trump. And as I explained earlier, they're not going to put their careers and stuff on the line on this whole deal over that. And plus, do you want to be the doctor that caused the President of the United States to die or have complications? I don't think so. I don't think these guys are going to allow the President to do anything that would put him or anybody else in danger. They're looking out for his best interests.
They are, and they treated him very, very aggressively, Roy, at the first sign of any symptoms. Most people would not have gotten an infusion of monoclonal antibodies on morning one of the diagnosis, particularly because he had what sounded to be relatively mild symptoms initially. He had a fever and some cough and congestion. They started right out of the gate with an infusion of antibodies, which, just so people understand, it's similar to getting convalescent plasma, where you are borrowing, for all intents and purposes, antibodies from someone who has recently recovered from COVID. The difference with the Regeneron treatment, that cocktail that the president got, is rather than those antibodies coming from an individual who'd been sick, the antibodies are manufactured. They're synthetic. They've been cloned in a lab, which makes it easier to make millions and millions of them. So he received an infusion of those antibodies. And then once he got into the hospital, because he was continuing to feel poorly, he got his first of what's going to be 5 total doses of remdesivir, which is an IV drug, again, like the antibody cocktail, still experimental, not FDA approved yet, but showing some reasonable impact on patients. So he's going to get a total of 5 doses. Today would have been his 3rd dose. And then on top of that, he ended up getting a dose of IV steroids, the dexamethasone. So he's been really treated aggressively, and I think that for all intents and purposes, it would be really extraordinarily unlikely for him to have a turn for the worse. And I don't know how you would justify keeping him in the hospital at this point.
Do we have any questions, Stephanie,
No.
from our audience? Okay. The next thing, and I want to get to the point of on Governor Hairgel. So give me my screen up there on the deal. Yeah. Gavin Newsom had a press conference today. California is in the green nationally, not his statistics, nationally. So is Arizona and Florida, 2 places where everybody's saying, oh, they opened up too soon and everybody's going to die. The positivity rate is 2.8%. We are below 700 hospital beds out of 40 million people in California in ICUs over COVID. We're almost at half of the 5% positivity rate of the standard that Gavin Newsom set for opening up California. And he's warning, California is stable, but that could change. COVID-19 is increasing across the country. Mind you, he does not have a green zone in any of his predictions or qualifications to open up any counties. In fact, he put a quota on counties. If there's one little pocket in your county that's above the positivity rate, you can't open. If the people in California don't see this or don't go, can't see what's going on, that this is just a extreme control tactic that Governor Newsom's putting on us in California, I don't know what is. What's your reaction to that, Kelly?
No, I agree, and this is more of the issue that's led us down into the disaster where we now sit, which is following positive cases. I cannot say it strongly enough, Roy, that the idea of following cases is meaningless. The vast majority of these positives have no symptoms whatsoever, and the reason the test is coming back positive is the nature of the PCR, because it amplifies any tiny little bit of virus material that could have been sitting around forever. It would be tantamount to, it'd be like finding a hair on the floor in the room from somebody who was there months ago or years ago. It doesn't mean that person is still there. It's a leftover. Now, granted, it will pick up the positive in some patients who actually do have the virus, but that's why you should be testing people who have symptoms. Testing someone who's asymptomatic and finding a viral particle up there is meaningless. And it's in all likelihood, the reason that person doesn't have symptoms is because there isn't enough virus around to get them sick. So we are following the wrong markers. And unfortunately, Gavin Newsom is in this. He's doubled down over and over and over again. And every time I see a headline that says we're seeing an uptick or we're seeing a spike, what they mean is a spike in, quote, positive cases, which I maintain are absolutely meaningless. You'll notice if you look at the actual numbers of deaths, those numbers continue to fall week over week, month over month. We don't even come close any longer to classifying as a pandemic. We haven't been in a pandemic by the CDC's own guidelines for several months now.
It's crazy, and that's why I say that this has been the ultimate in moving the goalpost. Newsom came out, like you called him, Warden Newsom came out with his criteria for reopening California. And at 2.8 positivity was what he said is almost to the green zone, which we don't even have. And now he's moving the goalposts that they came out with that quota of COVID on the whole thing. I mean, we're never going. As long as he's in office, we're never going to be over this stuff.
Correct, and that's the problem. You will never eradicate this. I remind people that people say, well, when we get a vaccine, I say, well, all right, let's look at that. We have a vaccine for influenza, yet interestingly, it comes back every year.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So we are not going to get rid of this virus, people. And therefore, if you keep shoving swabs up people's noses, you will keep having cases in perpetuity. We are in an absolute catch-22. You cannot get out of this if you're following cases. Then I see posts, I don't know if it came from Gavin Newsom directly or somebody else on his team, but I just saw a tweet that was passed on to me that said from the governor's office in California saying, don't forget when you go to eat at restaurants, don't forget to put your mask back on between bites.
Oh my gosh.
And I thought, oh my Lord. In other words, and I said, yes, what a great idea. Touch your face. Make sure that you have as many opportunities to touch your face as possible.
Oh my.
There's some really good, solid guidance. These things are pure silliness, and I laugh, but they really are making me so angry because the lack of science, telling people to put your mask on and off, on and off, on and off during a meal is putting yourself and everybody else at so much more risk, not just for COVID, but for every other thing that we tell people not to touch their faces and mouths. We're going headlong into flu season, and if you tell somebody, touch your face 20 times a minute, it's absolutely the worst possible advice, and these sorts of things are silly, they're dangerous, and they sure as heck aren't based on science.
That's the first thing that popped in my mind when this whole thing came up. That was one of the first. They said one of the worst things you can do, and they told us not to touch our face or that because you can, which I don't really, we can argue the science of that and yada, yada, yada. But now, you're supposed to touch, like you say, you're supposed to touch your put on and off your mask 20 times while you're eating. I mean, how absurd.
How are you even going to enjoy your meal?
Well, enjoyment doesn't play into this whole discussion. That's now absolutely prohibited. There will be no enjoyment of anything. But honestly, it's just bad advice. One of the reasons why physicians and surgeons, once you put that mask on, I put it on because the rest of me is sterile. I put on sterile gloves. I never, ever, ever touch the mask for the duration of the time I'm wearing it. Contrast that to the average person you see walking around the grocery store who touches his or her mask continually. People take it off to talk on their phone, then they put it back on, then they take it off to lick their fingers so they can open the produce bag to put the avocados in the bag. Then they put the mask. No, I mean, this is truly what's happening. And so the idea, I just spent an hour, I had a great conversation for an hour with Dr. Drew and Tyrus. And we were talking about it, and Tyrus happens to be relatively pro-mask, not relatively, very pro-mask, until I started pointing out some of these things, which is that, number one, it's not great to be rebreathing the things that you cough and sneeze and exhale. That's part of the function of your lungs is to get rid of things that you're not meant to keep in there, like dust and pollen and particulate matter and all sorts of other bugs that you want to get out of there. But it also, wearing the mask does cause people to touch their faces, their nose, and their eyes far more often than they otherwise would. And that's how many, many viruses are spread, not just COVID. That's how you get pink eye. That's how you get the common cold. That's how you get influenza. That's how you get a lot of things. So really, the wearing of the masks isn't just a, quote, inconvenience. I think that there are significant downsides to it, and it sure as heck isn't going to stop the spread of COVID.
Absolutely right. And that's the thing I'm thinking of is, you touch your mask, then you grab the avocado bag or avocados or apples or bananas or whatever, toilet paper, and then you put, I don't want that bag, and I put it back in. Guess who's the next person coming in line or that's going to pick that up?
Oh, my gosh.
Precisely. And so I honestly think that people, I'm imploring people simply to look with their own eyes, use your own experience, what has happened every other year during influenza season. And when you hear them say things like, well, until we have a vaccine, Well, really, what has the vaccine done to annual influenza? Nothing. We have an influenza outbreak every year. So will it decrease some people's chance of getting it? Yes, but we still have an outbreak. We are not going to get rid of COVID. It's not going away any more than the virus that causes pink eye went away, that the virus that causes, the common cold, that those viruses go away. It's not going to disappear. We are going to be living with it, and the best thing we can do is to identify those people who are likely to have a rocky course of it and do the things we need to do to protect those people. And the good news is we know who those people are. So the idea that we are still mandating that healthy people stay 6 feet apart from one another, that healthy children aren't going to school or are behind plexiglass shields, these sorts of things are silly, and they're downright dangerous because there are psychosocial impacts to it. For every one person who dies now of COVID, 100 people die of drug overdoses, delayed medical care, substance abuse, suicide, and many, many other things. The true toll of people being harmed by our reaction to this outbreak far, far, far exceeds the people who've been harmed by the virus itself.
We got a couple of minutes left, but I just want to get your thought on this. And if I was advising the president, I would be doing exactly what he was doing. I would be saying, this is coronavirus. There's nothing for 99.9% of the people to fear about that. If you get it, you'll have some mild symptoms. You'll go away from it. It's done. There's, for the vast, vast majority of us, nothing to fear. Look, I recovered from it. If you are in one of the high-risk categories, yeah, you should take a bunch of precautions on this. But for the rest of us, there is no scientific reason or even reasonable possibility that we should be anywhere or even fear coronavirus, COVID-19, or any of this other stuff, Dr. Kelly.
You're correct, and although it was predictable, I find it really repugnant that people have been jumping all over the president for saying essentially that. What he said was, don't fear this and don't let it rule your life. Well, what absolutely sage advice. And I don't care whether you agree with his politics or not. I don't care. That is absolutely correct. Fear and letting something rule and dominate your life is really, really dangerous. And the amount of fear that's going around in this country has had unbelievably deleterious impact. So when the leader of the country, when the leader of the free world says, I had it, I'm getting over it, don't fear it, and don't let it rule your life, that's something that should be applauded. Being a fearmonger, coming out and saying, oh my God, run for the hills, lock yourself away, be in a bubble, this is awful, is not the way to lead. He didn't say it wasn't real. He didn't say it was a nothing burger. He didn't say I didn't have any symptoms. He didn't say I survived because I'm Superman. All he said was, don't fear it and don't let it dominate your life. And he's spot on.
And there's, again, and very
And
sage.
Kelly is always spot on when she's on the show.
Very wise advice from Dr. Kelly Victory. Thanks for being on the show. We'll do it again real soon.
Sounds great. Be well.
Bye. I love having her on. She just words things way better than you do.
I just love when she says, Roy, you're absolutely correct.
Oh, shut up. I didn't hear that, did you?
It's on videotape.
Is it?
They're recorded in the archives and annals of history. Of that, no. Again, there's, and it's nothing. I mean, anybody, if you're looking realistic at it, and just like the whole situation, Dr. Kelly said it. We've had Dr. Jeff Barkey and Steve Hotze and a lot of them on said the same thing. Of that, there's nothing to fear in this thing. You know,
I mean, I think there is, like she said, for people
except if you're in a very, very, very narrow window of that.
But they made it so.
Yes.
I'm more scared of the flu. But then every year there's a flu. It's either not that bad or it's like really bad. I think this year we're just kind of in the really bad. Not discrediting it or anything, but
it's just like this, and I just want to reemphasize this chart again. California, Arizona, Florida are all in the green on a national study. We are at half, almost half. He said 5%. Caragel said at 5% positivity rate, you're below that. You can start opening up, yada, yada. We're at 2.8% today on the 7-day average. Almost half of that. And we're still, now he's sounding the alarms of where oh, well, it's spreading across the country. We might have to do this again. Da, 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 da. Yeah, yes. They said we're all going to die because Arizona, California, and Florida opened too early, and now we're in the green. We're in the green because we're letting it go again of that and stopping this madness of that. It's going to run its course. Delaying it, mask wearing, and all that, in my opinion, and I bet you history's going to show it, has delayed this, made it more worse, and put the vulnerable population in much more danger and cost. Not only more lives on the COVID-19, but probably 10, 20, or 100 times more hours of lives lost from the general population because they were afraid to go to the hospital, they didn't get treatment, or their doctors wouldn't treat them because of the lockdown orders of ding-dongs like Governor Hairgel, and we're all going to suffer this for many, many, many decades, and that's what's going to be the tragedy of this whole thing.
Couldn't agree with you more. Go to recallgavin2020.com and hopefully try to change our future soon.
Download that petition, sign the recall, get rid of this goofball of that before he kills us all. On the
a little dramatic.
Well, sometimes you got, and I mean that's why sometimes I get wound up on this stuff because
you were yelling earlier. You're scaring me.
Because
I'm just kidding.
You got to get your attention somehow. We'll be back tomorrow on Taco Tuesday with all the news and information you don't get anywhere else. Till tomorrow, we're gone.
We're gone.